Peace, everybody. Peace.
Peace, bro.
How you doing?
How you doing? I'm good. It's just me and you right now.
Okay. That's cool. What's going on with you, big bro? How's everything with the electricity? Oh, everything went well.
Yeah, we good now. And it's funny because it rained all day today and the wind was blowing today and it was fine. Yesterday we didn't have anything, but lights were out all over the little town here. So we good now. We good.
Good.
Could be worse.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yep. I just sent the link, so you got it, but
It's the same one. It's the same
yeah,
one.
but we actually used a different one last week. I actually used the one for our other meeting on accident.
Okay.
So I resent it. So
Cool.
hopefully they brothers read that and get it. Let's see, hold on 1 second. Yep. Were you able to see the video I sent? Or you had already seen it?
I did. I got a snippet of it sometime earlier this week.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll talk about it. I definitely
yeah.
Peep was going on that.
They say the number is invalid. Huh. Hold on. Let me make sure I gave them the right number. Okay, let's see. Huh. Let me check this again. Man. Let's see. Da. Let me go back and make sure I got the right number. Man, because they saying I got that's the second one, so something's wrong. Something's wrong with the number. Let's see. A second, figure this out. Let's see. That's always something with this technology, man. Wait, but see, Mo got in here. See, and you in here.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe, I don't know, maybe I sent them the wrong. Okay. Oh, yeah, this is wrong. No, yep, that is wrong. Yep. 859. Let me not say the number. The rest
of peace, everybody.
My
peace,
brother.
Bro, Mo.
Mo Money, what's going on? Peace to you.
Same old. How y'all doing? Good.
Good news, brother.
Good to see y'all.
Yes, sir. Same too, brother.
Yeah, I sent it was, you got to have all the numbers right. You can't have one on wrong. Otherwise, it's not gonna work. Did you know that?
Yeah, I was trying to log in. I couldn't get in. It's all good. It's all good.
Oh, here they come now. Okay. Here they go.
But you did use this one previously before.
I did, but when I sent the one in a hurry right now, I was one number off.
Okay.
I had to throw everything off.
Brother Elisha, did you see the causes of Marvin Hagler's death?
Brother, I saw that what they were saying.
Yeah.
I didn't know, but I didn't verify that. You what did you read? Because I heard his wife came out and said, or his widow said that wasn't the case.
Yeah, they were saying what I kind of figured they was gonna say because of what's going on, but it's kind of hard to believe it because they pinning everything to that. It's
really, who is they? Like who is that?
Well, it's the mainstream media. They're saying everything is every time somebody major dies, COVID related. Like you got a broken leg, you go to the hospital, then they try to say it's COVID related.
So, I got you. But
yeah,
I got you. But not for the COVID vaccines. What you're saying? It's the opposite for
right.
that. Like, I don't know, brother. I can't call it one way or another. I saw that immediately on Facebook, which I try to reserve judgment because nothing's real on Facebook.
Exactly.
Nothing's real in the media, really. So I don't know. I like to reserve judgment. I can't really comment on it like that.
Yeah, it's hard to say, man. It's just strange. Everything got something to do with that.
Yeah, they really pushing it though. They are pushing to get the vaccine, and I'm not. Again, that's not me telling people to not get it or to get it, but I know that
I won't be doing that. Yeah.
I know this Marvin Hagler was a real one.
Yes, sir.
Real one for sure. He one of my favorite champions, man. He was real deal. The best fight I've ever seen. I saw a fight not too long ago. It was actually, I don't even agree with this. It was two women that were fighting. And it was ridiculous. It was
It was a boxing match or a UFC
match?
match?
UFC. It wasn't boxing.
Yeah, UFC
match.
Yeah.
I know what fight that was then.
Who was it?
Wei Lee and Joanna.
Woo!
I watched that.
That's a classic men, women, period. Anything. I can't even front on that. Man.
Yeah. I'm excited to see them again.
No Cajun fight. But I happened to see that. I was like, oh, this, and I saw that, I couldn't believe it, brother. But Marvin Hagler, man, the war with him and Hitman Hearns.
Yeah.
You ever seen that?
Oh yeah. My daddy showed me tapes of it. Yeah. It was crazy, man. It was a good fight. Yeah.
It was quick.
What's that, brother?
I said it was it was
quick.
Hearns came out the first round and he wasted himself the first round.
Yeah.
Man, he threw everything he had at him. And Marvin, they was because they was about to stop that fight. They were about to stop that fight. Marvin got, he got cut. He was like, no, I got to do this. And he just walked through that fight because, man, Hitman wasn't no joke, man. That dude was like 6'1" and 147. And he had a jab. And that was the golden era, man. The golden age. You had Duran and Sugar Ray. You had Hagler, Hitman.
Was Foreman around at that time?
Who was that?
George Foreman, was he around at that time?
Well, he was a heavyweight, but he was a little bit before that.
A little bit before, okay.
Went away for a little while and came back and started whooping all them heavy. He another great champion, man. Another great champion.
Yeah.
He had that grill in his glove. That's why people.
That brother was strong. Strong. Yeah, power, man. That power's got that's a gift. That's a gift to have that kind of power. You see guys sometimes they about box and they could box their butt off, but they got pillows. They can't hurt you. So
right.
Then you got people like Ernie Shavers who will send you into next week. So there's some people that I think it's a legend. I think Roberto Duran knocked out a horse.
I think I heard that before.
You heard that before? I don't know that I heard that before. I haven't been able to verify that, but I heard he.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
crazy power.
He was serious. All them guys were serious. So Marvin Hagler was one of my favorites. So I really liked Hagler. All right, brother. It's good to see you. We can go ahead and get started. We're over here talking about boxing, and that's not that's my fault. Brother Elbert, can you ain't fixed that yet? Oh man, you're gonna be the one I was counting on too. Let's see.
If you go out and come back in, will that work again?
He did that last week, didn't he? Can you check? Can you go to what settings is on your computer? Okay. Man. All right. Well, man, it's gonna be because I might be the only one with sons on here. Hold on. No. Willie here.
I got two.
You got two. Okay. Khalil, you got some kids, man?
No, raised a few, but not mine.
You raised a few. Oh man, we can talk about that then.
Sure can.
Oh no. Okay.
Where's brother Isaiah?
I sent it to him. I don't know. He might be at work. I don't know. Oh, brother Anthony here.
Yeah, how everybody doing?
Good, bro. How you doing?
How you doing?
Good news, bro. Speak again, man. Like you got
I'm on the road, man. So
okay. I hear you. No, you good. You good. I hear you. I couldn't.
Oh, okay.
It
Yeah,
may
man.
have
Y'all
been on
doing
my
all
end.
right? Everybody good?
Yeah, we good,
Yes,
Yes,
bro.
sir.
We good. All right.
Right, okay.
My thing now I want to ask you, did you I sent the video. Did y'all see it or had y'all heard about it? Well, the video I'm talking about is, this the thing now. Kirk Franklin's son.
Hmm.
Everybody saw that?
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, I've seen it.
So what y'all think about that? I mean, I'm not even necessarily talking about his son, but it really inspired me because today's topic is just from father to son. Like I had some questions and some discussion topics as far as how we deal with our sons. And when I saw that, I have sons, it made me think. I'm not in that situation, but it made me think about raising sons and being around a lot of young men that I have been over the years, my profession and so forth. I see a lot of that. I see a lot of that. So I was just wondering what y'all think about when y'all saw that. I don't know who wants to go first.
I think a big issue in the Black community in general is we're abnormally willing to air out our dirty laundry to the public.
Mm,
It's
yeah,
like abnormal,
yeah,
especially when you grow up in the hood and in the inner city. It seems like nobody minds telling all their business. And I think in the 60s and the 70s, I imagine it wasn't like that at all. If you had an issue in the house, you handled it appropriately in the house. If you had a good father in the house.
yeah. I mean, I was born in the '80s and I can remember very. You don't talk about stuff that happens outside of the house. You just don't. That's a good point, man. It's like I don't know if anybody else wants to go, or I'll
I
say,
could go.
go ahead, brother. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Just listening to the response that Kirk actually gave his son. It doesn't sound like it was that whole situation was like genuine. It almost seemed like there might have been a previous conversation.
Mhm.
It was heated. The son sounds like the way Kirk came at him. It sounds abnormal that he would just attack him, and then this kid is recording at the
Right.
same time. So it's a little suspicious to me. Sounds like the son and him might have had a
Context.
conversation. Yeah, the context. He might have had conversation. He cursed his father out probably. He knew his father was about to dig in him, and he said, "Hold on." He
Hit
probably had a
record.
friend. Yeah, but like I don't even know how to do that on my phone. Like one phone where I could be talking to you and record you at the same time. So I don't know if he might have even had someone else next to him and like, give me your phone real quick, or let me call him on my phone or hit record on another phone. I don't know. But it just definitely seemed like it was a setup, like, Pops, I'm about to, I guess him and his father obviously had a bad relationship. And he said some things like his father called him poor. You know what I mean? Like, that's your son. You call him poor. That's a reflection of how well you took care of your kid. So obviously, it seems like in a way they definitely had long history, bad blood, and maybe the son wanted to really show the world this is who my father is behind closed doors too.
I don't know. I don't know if that's the case. And again, I'm not. I was mainly focused on because apparently they've had issues. He's had issues since a child. Okay, because I saw an interview with his mother. So I'm not even. I don't know all the ins and outs of that. I was just looking at the relationship between the father and the son, and it seemed like an issue of respect. Like there was no respect.
Oh yeah.
No, like that's what I was talking about. Because I don't even know the ins and outs. I know he had him when he was younger. They both were younger. I wasn't even talking about that's what inspired it. Like the relationship in regard to respect. And he said something in that interview. He said, "Hey, we're not equals. He can't just talk to me like that." Basically. And I felt him on that. And I was just thinking about how, so many of our young men lack respect because they haven't had a father. So they don't respect men, they don't respect authority. And that could be problematic when they go on the streets. When they're dealing with police, different things like that. So that's what really kind of got me. But as far as him growing up I know because he's not a boy.
Right.
He's 33.
Mm.
And his mother, I'm listening to his mother in an interview, and she's talking about him. And I know he's had some issues, according to both of them, counseling and all that therapy. But she was, in my head, at least what I was looking at,
Right.
it looked like she was talking to him like he was about him like he was still an adolescent. And he is grown, not 23, 33.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if anybody else. What's that?
My bad.
No, go ahead.
I definitely answered that from a different perspective. I was looking at what probably took place, but overall, he shouldn't have been talking to his father. I'll be probably making an assumption to say he probably said something out of character well before this thing took place, and that was out of line. In general, we talking about respect for your father. No matter what transpired in their lives, that's still a barrier you don't cross. If that might have taken place that led to what Kirk might have done, but yeah, it's a lot of lack of respect, lack of teaching. Like if your son don't really know how to show respect, if he wasn't shown that from his father, who was probably most likely absent from his life, probably don't know. His father probably didn't. I don't want to say, really assume, but
yeah, because I don't know that. I don't know that.
I don't know. You know
Yeah,
what
I
I'm
don't know
saying?
that
But
part.
that's crazy. It's definitely something going on there.
It was hot though.
Kirk was extremely hot.
He was hot. And I could feel, I just felt like if I was in that situation, like disrespect like that, it would have looked, it would look bad. It would look bad. I already know.
Yeah.
Anybody else have a
Yeah.
go ahead.
When I was watching it, it just first thing that thought in my mind is like, what got him to the point to say some of the things that he was saying. It's not like, you get the bulk of the conversation, what I'm saying, to know what it's about, and and I agree with what the brothers, they were just saying too, people are so quick to just record a conversation with just
That's
these family matters.
That's crazy to
It's
me.
a family situation,
Right.
and you would go as far as putting it out there. It just goes to show that you don't care nothing about your family reputation, because you're gonna always be tied to that.
That's
He's gonna always be tied to that. So I'm like, man, this is pretty awful. But hearing a man curse the way he did and stuff like that, that a lot of people, when they would watch that, they would act like they ain't never even heard a man curse before. Things like that.
Come on.
You get angry. You may say a few things. What I'm saying? I'm quite sure a lot of people ain't never looked at Kirk Franklin in that light.
No,
you know what I'm saying? He's a human being just like everybody else.
He stomped, jumping him on these laps. They ain't looking at it like that. My people say they ain't looking at it like they're not looking at it like that.
He's a human being just like everybody else.
Yeah.
And it just looked like his son, was just trying to bring his reputation down. This guy's talking like this, and a Christian ain't supposed to talk like this. That's what a lot of people gonna think when they see that. Oh, Christian ain't supposed to say that. He ain't supposed to talk like that. But at the end of the day, we all human beings. You don't know I don't know what he was angry about.
Yeah.
Just from watching that. So, that right there, that's what I thought about it.
Thank you. Yeah, that's another thing too. Like you said, that's an excellent point. What you were saying about you represent your family. And we don't. You see a lot of that. Like young people don't realize that. Old people, you represent your father when you walk out of here. And I was thinking about that too. Like how what you said about not caring about the family. You don't, because you mess up. You basically trying to mess that man money up.
Right. He messed himself up.
Trying to mess his money up. And then, because it's not like you the only kid. He got other kids, got a wife, got a family that's depending on him to bring in that money. And you kind of impacting that. But
yeah, and it's not like something the world is going to see this. He knew the world was going to see that.
Yeah.
So
kind of bad. It's unfortunate. that
Pure entitlement. That's what's
Yes.
messing these kids up.
Yes, entitlement. Yes, he's saying the type. I always say, man, your parents, I mean, after they raise you and get you, because they need to give you the necessity. People don't owe you anything.
Right. Exactly.
People don't
Mhm.
owe you anything. My
Mhm.
father working in corporate America, he's told me stories about people from other countries like that are literally millionaires, have built businesses and they are millionaires, and they told their kids, you can't. He's told me a couple stories. One guy said he would not give his kids, or actually, I take that back. This guy was trying to make his first million. And he said, my father, they were talking. He was from an Arab country, and he said, until I make $1 million, my father won't give me anything.
Mm.
I was like, wow, yeah, because I mean, I guess he's thinking like, hey, what am I gonna give it to you for, and you just blow it. So
Mhm.
like, no inheritance until he came up with until he was able to earn his first $1 million. But yeah, so yeah, but entitlement, you seem entitled. I mean, your father, I mean, for the most part, you want to be there for your child and help your child, But at the end of the day, I saw another entertainer some time ago. He was talking about his father abandoned him. I mean, the son was talking about his father abandoned him, and he had to come out and was like, "Hey, listen, this man is grown."
Right.
I think he was like, he might have been 40 or so. He was old. He was like, I haven't abandoned him. There's never been any issues with child support or anything like that. This man was he was just like you say, entitled, I guess. Yeah.
Mhm.
That being said, it made me think about again, seeing him, and I see that kind of behavior, quite frankly, amongst, and I'm not saying what caused the behavior, I don't know the whole story, but the disrespect and like, to me, it seems like a lot of our young men, our sons, really, not us individually, but our sons collectively, are in a state of perpetual childhood, like just never
Mhm.
growing up. And I was just wondering what you see when you see our sons, our brothers in the street, that are young boys. What do you see?
Old males.
You say
They
all males?
no old males.
Oh, old males. Oh, gotcha.
Yes, sir.
Old males, like not men, but old males.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like seem like an identity issue. It's like they don't know who they are. They're not trying to figure it out. They don't have any self-respect. They don't have any moral compass, no direction. They just do whatever. And it seems like they're not ambitious for anything out of life. They just go with the flow day by day.
Yeah, they
You
kind of
know?
just exist.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they just here. It's sad, man, but
Why do you think that
On
is?
media.
because of social engineering and the father missing in the household most of the time. And it almost seems like a generational curse in a way where it's just keep being passed down from generation to generation of not knowing anything about yourself. Us as Black people, or as Hebrew, by us coming into the truth, we understand why this is happening, but most of us don't. Most people, most Black folks in America, especially, we just lost in the world, man, and we just following entertainment, and they're not teaching you anything. They're just monetizing off of lust. Everybody want what they have, but they don't understand what it takes to get something, and nobody's sitting down and talking to them and teaching them about it. So it's just floating around, man. It's really scary, but it's just
I
a
was
harsh
telling
reality.
I was telling my mom, and this is, I think, another big issue. Black people, for so long, haven't not only have they not had the chance to ask the right questions, but even learn the right
Mm-hmm.
questions for themselves. People think
Mm-hmm.
it's just for the last 400 years, but it's been off and on for the last thousand years, 2,000 years at least. Now that we have the chance to read for ourselves and ask the right questions, some of us don't even know those questions exist, and we don't have anybody to guide us. We don't as a whole populace, people of
Mm-hmm.
color, we don't have anybody saying, hey, you should look into your history because this happened and this happened and this happened, or this could have possibly been your culture 500 years ago. People, I think the average person in America, especially the average Black person in America, can't even fathom the thought that they have another culture aside from the culture that we have here. And then it's because, you know, most people, most Black men don't have anybody to help them think of that or even show them.
And Brother Elisha, you are a rare teacher, you know, because most of the teachers that we have, they're not telling us the truth, man. They're not going to be honest with you, and they compromise morality for money. And then when you go to these schools, they honestly don't care. Everybody cares about a paycheck, so they'll put money and a job and status before the truth, before God, and before themselves. And it's really destroying society. It's really killing us. You know, money can't buy everything, but that's just not the way people look at it.
You know, we as a people, even if we see the truth, like we don't want to follow it anyway.
Yes.
Because as it says in the Bible, we're rebellious people. We don't want to follow it. Like you show people, like you show your own people, they don't want to take heed to it at all.
Right.
It seems like.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, bro.
No, go ahead.
In my perspective, I think it all stems from the watchmen, really not doing their job. The leaders, false prophets and Satan has done a wonderful job of keeping God's word away from us. And that in turn removed the priorities and the actual standard that a man is supposed to live by in order to, you know, set up that generational wealth or teaching and instructions that we're supposed to live by perpetually. But if, you know, our people are not shown what it is to even be a father and how to be sons, how can we follow any systems? We already know what the Lord gave Israel is the way. So if anything else comes behind that and it's not that system, it's going to fail. Right. And us being in our situation, cursed behind that, you know, we could look at other people in the world and say, okay, they're not following the system, but they ain't doing as bad as we are. They didn't have an obligation like we did. So on top of the fact that we didn't have watchmen that were doing their job, well, because of that fact, our fathers didn't know how to serve God, and therefore they didn't know how to teach their sons how to serve God and be men. And if you don't teach them from a child, you know, train them up in the way you should go, how would he know which direction to go? So everything else is just a result of that perspective or that lack of knowledge. So the Watchmen's failed us. And that's pretty much, you know, when I think about when the scriptures tell you to pray for the rebellion that our forefathers have done, the sins that they have committed, because ultimately that's what brought this upon us. And until the next generation step up like what you're doing, have stepped up and shown truth and teaching us, those who are having children, to lead according to the scriptures. If the rest of the world don't catch on, we're just going to continue down the same road.
Yeah. You said something about false prophets, and it made me think about. And I was thinking about this earlier about the false Christian church, and how I can remember growing up. My mother was deeply in the church, you know, deaconess in the church. My father didn't go at all. He did. If he was in a church, it's because it was a funeral. Growing up, he never went to it. He never went to church. Like I remember, my uncles. I can remember I had very close cousins, and my uncle. You know, he was he would send the kids to church on a bus. He wouldn't go really. And I was just thinking about, what do you think the impact of, like you've already kind of mentioned it, but when you go to these churches today, you only see women for the most part. And then it's like, it's not really an example there for males in the religious institutions, in addition to them teaching falsely. And I don't know. I think about that. I said, man, you really don't have it. And then you said something else. They haven't been taught, men haven't been taught those specifically those moral principles, a lot of those, because the religious leaders have failed them. But what about the principles of manhood that you should just know?
Mm-hmm.
Like we even lost that.
Yep.
We're
I don't know,
angry
brother.
people though.
What's
Yeah,
that?
I said we're angry people.
Okay.
We seem to just be rebellious for, slavery, in its right. Of course, we should be angry of how we were treated. We know that these people have taken it a step further. So yeah, we still feel entitled. And when you look around, you still listening to people talking about reparations. Like, I don't want to get all into it, but at the same time, how you
That's
supposed to be?
another
Yeah, that's another show. How you supposed to be blessed? How you supposed to get blessed from a curse that you put on yourself? That's another show. And at the end of the day, you don't deserve it.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna say it. We don't deserve it, but we need to get right with God, and He'll set forth the right reparations. We're looking for it from this financial standpoint. Everything is not about this monetary gain. It's not about this money. Like turn your priorities around. Understand what's more important in this life. And our people just don't. Somehow we don't act like we believe there's an afterlife. We act like we don't believe there's a God. We act like we don't believe that there's a kingdom. That's how we act, because we act like it's all about right now. If I can't acquire it now, I ain't gonna never get it.
Yeah, it's clear we lost in the sauce.
All the way.
For sure, as a people. But even with that, like, okay, if I go back far enough, right? Like my grandfather, that was a man. You see what I'm saying? There was men back there, like you, and they didn't know the truth, but they were actual men operating in manhood. And it seems like that's being lost today. And I was just wondering, for those that have sons, I don't know if Brother Elbert, is his mic working or not?
I'm back.
Oh,
Yes,
thank you, brother.
I'm gonna let my pride go. Y'all gonna be mad at me as usual.
What's that?
You probably ain't gonna agree with me.
Oh, brother, go ahead. No, hey.
All right. I'm gonna just once again, I can just tell you from my experience.
That's what I want.
My father was in the house, and he set a standard that I had to live up to. And he didn't go to church. It was just like everybody else said. Mom would take us to church. Dad stay home, do whatever. But I seen his pursuit of things. And so when it was my turn, I set a standard for my kids. It was unheard of in nowadays. I had a firm line, and I set an example to the boys. To one point, they found out I quit something, and they were shocked. They was like, when they were teenagers, they said, "You quit something, Dad?" Because they've never seen me stop anything. So I taught them how to pursue goals, and they didn't do everything right. But the biggest thing I noticed was you have to set a standard, and I would tell them over and over, I'm not your friend, I'm your father. And when they came short on some things, I would let them know exactly what they came short on. And sometimes I would have to talk to their mother. Did I go too hard? She would go hug them, say, "This is what your dad meant," blah, blah,
That's
blah.
balance, brother.
Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. And we admit that now, because my two boys, right around the time they start growing hair, they start trying me. I had one of them when he became a football star talking about, "You need to get out of my face." And I had to sit in the chair for about 15 minutes and calculate what I was going to do. And, but it didn't go the way he thought. When he seen my face, he knew it was a wrap. But I think a lot of times men, we have to set a real example, and we have to show them persistence and drive. And then they picked a lot of it up, because when they went to school, the school teachers were saying, what's wrong with the Cates kids? Because they would not stop until they got their homework done. They wanted to finish their projects because they never known me to do anything else. Like all the raggedy property, I buy everything raggedy because it's cheaper that way.
Yeah, you told me that when I saw you.
Yeah, and then I work on it, and I asked my kids. My boys said they wouldn't do that today. I would get off work and go straight to working on this house that I was trying to get together. But that's what I'm saying. They saw that persistence and grind, and I think that's what's missing a lot of times because a lot of kids now grow up watching their dad play video games.
Yes, sir.
Right.
You know, and I never done that.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at when I was saying certain things are just about being a man, even beyond like, you know, what we know as far as the truth, right? It's so we what you talking about, that's what I was saying. We even lost that, it seemed like today. Like I said, 'cause my grandfather, like what you saying, my grandfather was a man. My grandfather, man, it's just certain things, everybody depended upon him.
Right.
And he was a rock, never complained, never done. You ask him to do something, he's gonna help you.
Right.
You ask him, hey, I need to be here, you're gonna be 30 minutes early.
Right.
Never late.
Man of your word.
You know, he was a man about his.
Right.
My father, the same, he was a man about it. Like my father, you know, he had a job, man. He worked very, very hard. I can't when he worked all day long, came home, worked some more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's what I saw. But I'm saying like it's like we seem to have lost that.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't disagree with what you're saying. That's actually what I was getting at.
Right.
Definitely. I'm gonna come back to you. Go ahead, finish your thought, brother.
No, I was just gonna say it's I didn't get my reward until like a few years ago when my boys became adults and started living, you know, good lives and having successful careers. And now they call me and we friends now, and they admit, you know, they appreciate it.
Yeah.
So it comes. I was a villain for 20 years. now they love me. Yeah, it's, you know what, man, because if you don't do it, who will, you know?
Right.
And that's hold on, brother Anthony, because I know y'all two got I believe the oldest son, so I really want to pick y'all brain. So before we get off, I definitely want to come to you next. Brother, I was just saying also, I want to make this point. I was saying that's balance, which we don't have that in the home. You was doing what you was doing, disciplinary, authoritarian, your wife, nurturer.
Right.
And that bring balance to the situation. That's why you had two.
Right.
You know that, and so I was just saying, yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. Yeah. Brother Anthony, if you could add, brother.
Yeah, man. The thing that I noticed for a lot of these kids or younger men lately, even some in their late 30s, man. It's just, you know, everybody want to be too cool for school, or you know they're smoking a lot of marijuana. You know, they want to do that all day, and I think the drugs have really messed things up. When they're following these celebrities, and that's all they're talking about is drugs and sex all day. That's what's messing them up. It's the drugs, chasing after women, and you know, wanting to be the I don't know how the guy that, you know, looks like he has the most money, man. You know, but yeah, I think I was lucky for most of them, you know what I'm saying, that I raised. But you know, like my two oldest boys, they really live with their mom most of the time. You know, really my three oldest boys. It's tough when you don't have them under the same roof with me.
Yeah.
And I had two of them that, you know, I rubbed off on very well. You know, they came every summer. You know, I got them on spring breaks and stuff like that. You know, so but my oldest son, he would always find a way to end up in summer school. So, you know, whenever I would get a chance to get him, you know, whenever he went back to his mom's house, he would talk her into, you know, the man in space. She never would. I would have had to go to court, probably spend a lot of money to try to just get full custody and stuff like that. Yeah, I just think it's a lot to do with drugs.
Okay. Now I can stay with y'all two for a second. I already got an idea, Brother Elbert, when you said about not quitting. Can you just tell us some lessons that you instill in like the cliff note or the concise form of lessons that you know for a fact, boom, 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 this is what you got to do. You said set a standard, you said never quit. What's some lessons that you instilled in your boys, in your men now?
Well, when you say right now, the pursuit of their goal was the one boy that wanted to be a police officer, which I can't understand. He went all over the country chasing his job, and he never quit until he got it. He was getting rejection letter after rejection letter, and he stayed with it. Now, once again, I don't know why he wanted to be a cop, but that was some drive that I'm assuming he got that. I hope he got that from watching me pursue things. And his other brother now that is doing the other work, doing the refrigeration, air conditioning. He's got that same drive now where he's going out. Like I said, the last couple of jobs he got them on his own. He's learning how to fix, like I used to take him to do hot water heaters, how to make that hustle money.
Yeah.
I thought he wasn't paying attention, but he's doing hot water heaters on the side now to get a little extra money.
Okay.
But that, that's what I just want to put a little drive, pursue their goals, and try to stay out of trouble. Because that one, you want a civil service job, especially in that police fire range, you can't make any mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can't have anything. And even to when they were in middle school and high school, I tried to make sure no teachers put nothing on their records, no nothing, because I knew it would pursue them the rest of their lives,
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, but that's about it, man. I try to lead by example.
Yeah.
They told all their friends. So their friends then heard stories about me. So their friends go, "Oh, that's him," That's Mr. Cates, because it almost seemed like I was strict, could be the word, but they were used to just running. Their friends could just run however they wanted,
Yeah.
And I didn't allow it.
How'd it work out for their friends?
One of them messed up and called me Elbert, and I was gonna choke him, but the friends, most of their friends are in trouble. They all right. They all right now, except for my eldest boys, kids, friends. They kind of off chain. Like what I taught them, if I can't change the people around me, I change the people around me.
Yeah.
So yeah. If you running with people that ain't doing no good, you're gonna be the next one doing no good.
Yeah, exactly. Young people don't realize that. It ain't me, no, it's gonna be you. Or you're gonna suffer the consequences for being around them. Yeah, absolutely. Brother Anthony, any lessons that you could think of that you would try to relate to your boys or to your sons?
Yeah, I'm sure several of them, but they all would pretty much sound the same. Brother Elbert, I had those sayings that I would tell you just like that. You'll be the one. Either I check you, or the authorities are going to check you. They're going to put you in the system, and they're going to tell you everything that you have to do, what time to lay down, what time to get up. So you're upset about this now, but you be more upset later. So I would take care of the business that needs to be taken care of. I use corporal punishment. I even had social services come to my house about whooping my boy when he might have been 12. One of my boys. So yeah, man, they kids, man. But yeah, I did a lot. I worked all the time. I tried to instill in them, the importance of work and how to survive and be able to take care of yourself. And if you don't have a family to be able to take care of them, you got to work. You got to be there. You got to be around. So,
yeah.
My youngest, he's 20. He's in college and he's working. I mean, he truly loves it. So, I had a lot of I had a lot of time with him. So I'm just happy to see him doing good, man. And, staying focused.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I would tell him.
Okay.
Hey, he said children's services.
Yeah, he did.
I I told my kids, if you call children's services, I'm gonna tell them to take you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
You can't live here no more.
I
That's
never
what you gonna
understood
do.
that. I'm gonna call some people to talk about how I'm you parenting. Well, you must not want to be here, but
Right.
yeah. Yeah, I never understood that one.
Those teachers, man, they'll do it at the
Yeah,
school.
they do. Yeah, they do.
What happened?
Now any brother want to add any lessons that they learned perhaps from their father that stuck with them?
I did.
One of
My dad, he was not very. He didn't talk to me a whole lot about a lot of things, you know, which I believe that he should have. And but what he did show me through his action was about his work ethic. You know, he would always find a way to work. If his car went down, he'd find a way to work. My mama, she told me that something happened to his car one time and it was snowing. He was walking from one end of the town to the other end of the town trying to get to work through the snow and everything. So it's definitely one thing that, like I say, I've learned from him, that he taught me through his actions.
Okay.
But you know, for the most part, I'm working very hard not to be like him in a lot of different areas. I'm working very hard not to be like him. You know, I've learned other qualities from other men that God have brought into my life that have helped a lot, you know, and helped me out on my journey, you know, that and that's why I'm here, you know. So I'm very, very thankful for that.
Yeah, two things like that work ethic. I got one talking about my father. My father's working. He came up in an area where, you know, you really didn't have to go to college. You can just go right to the mill over here and make a good money, buy your nice house, nice car, raise a family on just that income. And because we buy the steel mills when they were this is when they were thriving in this area. And that's what his friends were doing, coming right out of high school. Well, he decided to go to college, and he was going up to the local branch here, and then he went to Indiana. He transferred to Indiana University. He transferred to Indiana University, which is 3 hours away, and he still had his job in the mill up here. He was driving from Indiana University up here to work and drive. I forgot how long he did that, and driving back down to. This is why he was in school. Because his father had died early. So you know he paid. You know he paying his way through school. So that's kind of stuff right there. You think about, like you said, work at, they show you, you know, even better than they can tell you sometimes. And what you said about, you know, it's certain things that you don't want to do that, or you know, you want to make some changes in your life that because you looked at your father's life and
A whole lot, man.
A whole lot. Okay. But you you said other men in your life, and that's something, man. I'm a firm believer that, you know, yeah, you got your father there as far as to show you how to be a man, but like you said, I had my grandfather, had my father, had my uncles, you know, and they playing different roles in your life. You know, that was very helpful. And it's good, like if you, because everything our fathers do, we and even we got sons, we should want them to do better. You know, we want them to be better than what we were. So we don't want them to go backwards. So Lord willing, because I know you talking about in another form we did about getting married one day. I assume you want some sons.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So
yes,
what's
sir.
one thing you want to make sure they have instilled in them?
I definitely want to make sure they have the word.
Absolutely.
But you know, after that, I want to make sure that, you know, they have honor. I also want to make sure they have honor, because I think that our people have lost a sense of honor, and the opposite of honor is shame. So you need to have honor, you know, as within your manhood. You know, I think that's definitely a very, very important quality.
Yeah, I agree. I think we so quick to compromise manhood. we so quick to compromise our position when like that's really you should be a man at all costs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you should be a man at all costs, but we real quick to get that up, to not take your rightful position as a man. And you know, I think I've said this before. I heard Judge Joe Brown say the hardest thing to do is to be a man. And that was years ago when I heard him say that. I was watching this show. This is a long time ago. I was like, what are you talking about? I know now. I know what he's talking about. You gotta you can't be moving. You got to stand firm on what you are. You're a man. That's huge. And a lot of our sons, a lot of our young men, young boys, they don't know what that means, what they potential is.
A lot of honor in that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of honor in, you know, knowing what you are supposed to do as a man. There's a lot of honor in that. Some people talk about, oh, you know, and they be talking about any little thing. They talk about, oh, there ain't no shame in my game. Well, you should have some kind of shame when it comes down to certain things.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Right. Some things are shameful, right? That's
Exactly.
hey, brother, that's a problem we got in general, man. It's shame need to be brought back.
Right.
Shame need to be brought back because it's like a lot of stuff that's going on. There's no shame in it. No shame. It's like, man, I ain't gonna say it. I was gonna talk about something I saw today. But what you say, brother?
From where I'm from, you know, people at one point in time, people be trying to get a check. You know what I'm saying? And trying to play like, you know, certain people, there are certain things wrong with certain people.
You talking about like SSI?
Yeah, things like that. But you know, I don't know where it came from. It started happening, you know, from where I'm from. People try to play dumb or something like that to get a check. That's shame. That's a shame to me. You know, instead of manning up and, you know, and having to go out there and work for what you trying to work what you're trying to get, you know.
And it handicaps them because they're more worried about keeping that little bit of money that just keeps them existing. They ain't living, they're just existing. Instead of getting out there and getting out there and finding a way. Because I even to this day, some people are gonna make it. A lot of us are gonna be struggling, but it comes back to that work ethic and using wise counsel and using your brain and not acting emotionally. But you're right. I've seen people work for that SSI check more than anything else, so that they think they're getting ahead and they're not.
Really not. You know what really brought that to my attention early on. I was working at this time I had a few jobs, and I was working in one. And this sister, she had a daughter. She was at the job. She was trying to get public assistance, and she was kind of, you know, she was distraught, you know, kind of crying. I'm like, what's going on? You know, she just said like, man, I'm trying to get some help. They won't help me because they say I make too much, so I'd have to quit this job. But then that would leave me with nothing. And it just snapped in my head like, oh yeah, that just, you know, it just clicked like, oh, so they basically put you in a position of perpetual poverty. They put you in a position of perpetual poverty. And on a professional level, I have seen adults try to do that with their kids. Try to make their kid, you know, so they could get it. I said, wow, that's bogus. But yeah, brother,
they don't care.
Yeah. So you say you got to have some honor. Have some honor. Even if you don't have a lot, you know, that ain't you still a man. Even if they take everything from you, still be a man. You can be locked in a cage somewhere, still be a man. So you know, that's that's good. Anybody else, brother? Oh, go ahead.
I want to say one more thing.
Go ahead.
I was just talking to my dad, you know, yesterday, and he asked me if I need any money. I told him, I said, no, I'm good. You know, I got my little layoff and stuff like that, you know, and I'm ready to go up north, go up into Indiana and go to, my job will be up in Michigan, DC. It'll be, no, I'm tripping. Majority would be in Michigan. It'd be at a place called DC Cook.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I'm ready for that whole situation to, you know, happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I started talking about that. I was like, man, you know, Pops, you always ask me if I need any money, you know, and I was like, you know, I you know, he always let me know that if I need anything, I can ask him for money. I told him that I would never take advantage of that though. If I already got money in my pocket, why would I need to ask you for money? Why would I even accept you giving me money? You know what I'm saying? Which is all right sometimes, but I'm kind of wired to like, I'm not gonna ask nobody for money unless I really need it. You know what I'm saying? I don't do that. I don't take advantage of people doing that. You know, I don't take advantage of people being kind.
Right.
You know, I don't want people to take advantage of me being kind. I don't want to give money to a person that already have money in their pocket. You know, it's just, you know, and I talked to him about that. You know, I told him, I was like, man, you know, when I have kids, you know, I'm gonna let them know that they gotta work for everybody. They gotta work for everything, you know, and they gotta have good qualities, and you know, don't ask for money when you already got money in your pocket. Don't take advantage of somebody's kindness, you know.
All right.
Yeah, no, that's good, brother. Brother Marcus, you got something?
I wanted to add on that bit that you said about shame. It goes like it goes connected with like what you're saying about the father and like the son's role. Like with that shame, you said it needs to come back, which is true, because that's why you see today, like in society and the media, they try to make everything acceptable, and that's why you see like a lot in the media. Like, yes, these celebrities, like sons, they're turning into like trans women, they're turning themselves into women. And there's no shame there. It's just accepted. Like that's the problem. Like they don't even know. And that's influencing like people all over the world. They don't even know like what a man or what a woman should be. They're very confused. Like a lot of confusion is going on in the world.
Yeah.
And there's no shame. Everything's accepted.
Yeah, degeneracy is being celebrated, and see, shame is not to destroy you. You know, shame is to correct you.
Mm-hmm.
Shame is a corrective measure. Like when you do so, see, that's how a society stays at least somewhat on an ethical, moral path. If you can be ostracized, shamed, or shunned for specific behavior. But when you take that off the table, you have what we have today, a death culture, where everything goes. What you say, brother?
Like self-destruction, like everywhere.
Yeah, that's not in the long run. When you take it, like, why I can't do this? And it's something that's like, no, you should actually be ashamed of that. You know, I was watching it was a reporter, and it was like, you know how somebody do a YouTube report, and they went to this march, and it was on abortion. It was pro-abortion though, and the guy asked one of the protesters, I guess they were protesting some legislation that was trying to be passed, some more restrictive legislation, and he asked her, he said, so do you have any children? She said, children? I killed all my children.
Wow.
Straight up, and laughed.
Wow.
You know,
and there's no shame in that. They just, all they say is that it's their own body, but they don't have any realization that God formed that person in the womb. That's another person. You committed murder.
Right.
There's no shame about that. There's no like conscience there that they're actually committing murder.
Yeah. Yep. Anybody else in lessons they father? Thanks, brother. Any lessons that their father you think instilled in them or that they took away from their father?
Yeah, my father taught me and my brothers very young not to let nobody beat you in anything. It was weird because my father had me very old. He was 54. I don't want to say very old. He was 54 when he had me.
He was up there.
He was up there. He was
Have a
up
newborn.
He
To have
just
a
Right.
newborn, yeah.
old though.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, he used to cry to my mother that he's not going to see me grow up. And he outlived her. She was 18 years younger than him. So God bless him. You know, he was able to see me grow up to be the man that I was heading to be. But he taught me and my brothers who are not his children a lot of lessons. They came from the projects before I was born, and my father put them in the house. He showed them what a father was. They didn't see it real, man. Their father used to beat my mother. Their father used to get drunk and all kinds of crazy stuff, stomp my mother's eye out, literally. And my father wasn't like that. He was stern, but he was sincere. He was honest. He was loving, and he would spend time with you. All my brothers learned how to, everything that they have become today is because of my father. And they've attributed these stories at his funeral. You know, a lot of things I didn't even know. A lot of things took place prior to me even being born. So I learned a lot more about, surprisingly, both my parents during their funerals. But my father, you know, it almost seemed like it hurt my brothers they were his stepkids almost more than me, but it hurt me bad. But I could just see like they lost their father. My brother over me, you know, he was like, yo, I lost my superhero. Like I wanted to do everything like he did. My father was an MTA bus driver. My brother got his permit, and my father was the kind of guy, man, he didn't take no crap, older or not. The only guy I still to this day ever seen, you know, just pure strength. You know, you talked about George Foreman earlier, and my father was like my Hulk, you know, and for me and all my brothers, only guy I ever seen grab a sledgehammer from the very tip without bending his forearm and mind you, he had me at 54, so he must have been in his 60s and 70s when he was doing this. Man, pulling a sledgehammer straight up and all the boys in the street trying to come do it. Nobody could do it. I'm like, man, that's my father. You know, that kind of reverence. I've never in 32 years of my life with my father ever talked back. And my mother knew it because I kind of was running around on her. Your father coming home. I'm going to tell him. And I straighten up for the rest of the day.
That's balance.
That was the balance, you know.
Yeah.
But my father, you know, and I said, you know, they were Seventh-day Adventists or whatever. They kept the commandments somewhat. They tried, man. You know, they tried. I think to the best of their knowledge. I don't really know what was really shown to them to the extent, but from what they knew, they tried. And work ethic at his age, gardening, planting, everything that you could think of, teaching me how to play baseball, teaching my brothers, teaching the kids down the block who he knew didn't have fathers how to pitch and all these things. Like when my father died, it was like a community that came out to pay homage to him because he touched so many people, so many of my friends, male friends that didn't have fathers, that when we used to have Sabbath, after Sabbath, and I kind of picked this up, you know, now, but after Sabbath, my father used to take us to Coney Island and make me bring all my friends with me and pay for everybody, you know, because he knew their fathers wasn't around and he wanted to make sure that my friends didn't miss out on what I was having to the best of his ability. And what I picked up from that is even now, you know, even in COVID, I know it sounds crazy and I caught COVID. My kids now all think, you know, all praise to the Most High. I've been telling y'all, you know, I was having issues with my wife and my kids, but my wife has stopped the fighting and coughed them kids up because I wasn't going nowhere. I already told her, I said, it's either me, you're gonna give in or I'm walking out. And I want my kids. So it was like, hey. So my children, my 3 and 5 year old, are keeping the Sabbath and, you know, doing everything with me, and I'm raising them the way I deem fit. And it's no more all praise. And all praise. Listen, one of the best feelings I've had, and it's been going on for about a month, man. And they're 3 and 5, so I got them good. They're watching TV. I'm like, who hit Goliath? David. And I jumped for joy. I jumped for joy because I'm like, they're 3 and 5, you know? So even now, so after Sabbath, I take them and go bowling, just to do something. And I picked that up from my father because I guess he felt like Sabbath, the kids, they couldn't do anything. But just to bring a little bit of my past into my future, I kind of just take my kids out after the Sabbath, give them something to do. And they look forward to the Sabbath, not because there's some they're going to go bowling or whatever the case may be, but they like that time with their father. And that was something my father did with me, that time, and that teaching. And my father wasn't very verbal. He was the kind that you knew didn't play. So you didn't give him a chance to speak. You know what I'm saying? You didn't want to hear it because if he had to speak, it was going to be bad. And I'd rather the beat. And my father he had big hands, man. I'm telling you, I learned very young. And that's where that reverence came from. A few beatings set me on course for the rest of my life. And to be honest with you, that's what kept me out of jail. I got one of those civil service jobs because I got through school and I was able to, out of a lot of my friends, be able to say I meet the qualifications. I worked for NYPD for 7 years. And that was because I fed my father's opinion. I fed what he thought about me. I looked at what he did for me and said, would he approve of what I'm about to do? And that scared me even to this day. He's dead and gone. And I'm still saying, well, my father, like, if I do this right now, he can't see or hear me. But what he instilled stayed with me. So I am thankful that that the Lord gave me my father, because he set this reverence for God up for me perfectly in a way that the way I reverence my father, he made the transition to when I came into the knowledge of God, knowing, hey, you got to turn it over and respect him even more than you did your father. But if you could do it to your earthly father, you could do it to the world father, God of the world. So my father was a man, bro. You spoke about a man. My father was a man, and I watched a man raise his own son and four kids that wasn't his, take them out. He never was a striker, never was a verbal abuser. You just respected him. You respected him, and he didn't have the word all the way. They tried, but through his actions, you knew what love was, and you knew what respect was. So my father did a lot for me, and I'm trying to kind of put what I know, like where he left off and where he fell short. I'm trying to add that, but I really want a lot of his qualities, because that man set the precedent for me as a man. And the rest of it, God has to do, with his word. So that's what I have to say about my father. When my mother passed away, I didn't have the courage to stand up and speak at the funeral. But when my father passed away 5 years after my mother, it was like I have to. And I almost didn't let nobody else get up, because I felt like this was my final goodbye, and I want everybody to know who my father was, and how I felt about him. So we need our fathers, man.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate that, brother. That's powerful what you just said, brother. You said a couple things that made me think. You said that's who you look to. That's who a son should look to as an example, is his father. That's your example. That's who you should look to. Like Brother Elbert was saying, like his son and their sons is almost like they probably don't even realize how they acting or why they acting the way they acting. Like he said, he wouldn't give up, because he had that example, And another thing you said about your father being a pillar in the community, our communities wouldn't look as bad as they do. I understand we have things going on as a people, but they wouldn't look as bad as they do if we actually had men operating manhood within those communities. Because we simply would not allow these kids to do certain things. They would not allow certain things to go on in the community. An extreme example, I remember in Detroit, and when they had the Detroit 300, you remember that? You ever heard of that? When there was some brothers, and it was actually some brothers, it was different, all kind of, but they were men. And Detroit was getting so bad, they said, hey, listen, young people getting killed in these streets. I think a young sister had died, if I'm not mistaken. And they came out like, listen, to the criminals, we not playing with you. Now some sisters ratted them out on some stuff.
Yeah.
Man.
They were solving crimes.
Yes. Yeah. That's what men do. At a certain point, you're like, hold on, man, you can't just do this in my community.
Right.
You know? So in being a pillar in the community, like you said, taking everybody out, because and that's another thing. All different kind of roles. If young men can see, even if they don't have a father, they can see you, and you can feel in a particular, in some, not fully, but in some way. They can say, oh, I know Mr. Johnson or whoever, he used to help us with this. And yeah, that was powerful. And you talked about, I think, people often talk about a mother's love, which is not to be understated or anything. But when a father's there, his love, because it's not necessarily a soft love in a nurturing way, but it's the father's love is sacrifice, silence.
Right.
Does it silently,
right.
And it's often, overlooked, but because that's what he was doing. He had a capacity to love, which is something I want to talk about. Maybe that's a whole nother form, but he had the capacity to raise you and
4 other children.
And 4 other children that were not his. If I heard you correctly.
Yes, and he had 2 children of his own from his first wife.
So he had the capacity. Goodness. So he had 7. Is that right?
That's a 5 and 2. Yeah, that's 5 and 2. Yeah, that's 7.
7. He had the capacity to love all those kids. If they were all his, that's a feat, let alone 4 that are not biologically his. And so, like I said, that might be a whole nother discussion. But the whole idea of raising somebody else's children. I know, Khalil, you mentioned that you raised, did you say 2?
Yeah.
So, brother, if you could just touch upon that brief, that might be a whole nother form. I'm thinking about it now. Y'all made me think about that. But if you could touch upon that a little bit.
Yeah. So, I raised a family member's daughter for about 2 years before I went to the military, and she's blood related to me. But even if she wasn't, I can't sit idly by, especially while a child, is pretty much has no father, because I always felt that fathers, while a good father will have the balance of love and discipline, right? And it's important, and especially for girls to see how a man should treat other men and women, and like their mother. I feel like that was important, because if it's just your mom, she may go out and get some crazy dude, or she just wants to do bad all by herself. You don't really get to see a man.
Yeah.
At that point, that's a detriment. I mean, it's at this point, it should be obvious to everybody that not having a man in the house is a detriment. But I couldn't sit by and just let this girl not have a father, or not have somebody to look up to. So I was like, I'm gonna have to be this, right? I'm gonna have to let her know what's acceptable and what's unacceptable to do in private and in public. How you need to treat yourself, and how you need to treat others, especially the adults above you, and then how much disrespect you do and don't have to take, because at some point in times through our life, life is just going to be unfair, right? There are going to be things that happen that we don't care for, and there are going to be things that happen that we don't like, and we just got to suck it up. But then there are times where you need to plant both feet and look at them and say, look at them and say, I don't know who you think you're talking to, or I don't know what's going on, but I'm not moving. Yeah. And I know I'm right, and I'm not moving.
Yeah, absolutely. It comes to the point where you have to make that stance, even if it means you got to give everything up.
Yeah, and I think it's because I realized the detriment of letting the generations after me fall to the wayside, right? When you become a parent, you don't think about, the 3 generations that come after you. But if you set your kids up right, and you instill good values in them, let's say your kid has 4 kids and each one of their kids has 4 kids. Now, that's a whole that's a essentially a whole branch of another family that you will have affected at that point in time, and that's going to make better, sons and daughters and wives and husbands, and that's going to lead to us as a people being more prosperous.
Yeah, I always say, particularly men, what you do is like a pebble in a pond, dropped in a pond. It's gonna ripple throughout the generations.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna ripple throughout the generations. So absolutely, yeah, brother, I agree. That might be another form. I had to. The whole idea of raising somebody else's children. I have to talk to y'all about that. A couple more questions. I don't know if anybody else have anything as far as lessons that their fathers instilled in Brother Mo or Brother Anthony, who didn't speak yet. If not, it's fine. I just want to know if y'all.
I think mainly. Well, I feel the same way as Brother Joshua. In a lot of things when it comes to my dad. But one thing I really did learn from him was self-determination and not to quit. He never really taught me or showed it to me, but I watched him and I saw what things he would do and the way he would behave. And I told myself, you know what, I'm not going to throw in the towel when it's something I really want in life. So I've always been a persistent type of guy. So ever since I was about 16, 17, I just stayed on the track to pursue, what was at heart, and I just don't give up.
Okay. All right. If I can add to this, I would say one of the lessons my father taught me was this too shall pass. Mm-hmm. In the sense of like whatever's happening, it's not going, as bad as it may be, it's not going to continue. It's going to change at a certain point for the better. He taught me just sometimes if it's something that's too difficult that you don't see the end of it, and it's something you want to do, try it anyway. You might not necessarily see the end or how to get there, but start walking towards that. Mm-hmm. He also taught me to do your best, and that's acceptable if you're doing your best. Do your absolute best, and if you come up short doing your absolute best, there is no shame in that. Because you laid it all out. You did your absolute best. There's no shame in doing your absolute best. Because you're going to have some times in your life where you have failure. Mm-hmm. Right. It just happens. But what you don't want to have happen is that you fail because you didn't try. So those are some things that he taught. My grandfather taught me, try to be on time. When I say you ask, we call him Big Daddy. Big Daddy taking you someplace. It'll be you 5 minutes away. You're gonna be there a half hour early at least. At least, and my grandfather always drove the raggediest car. Me and my cousin, he be picking us up from school sometimes. We kids, we don't know no better. He come in that old station wagon. Boom, 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 boom. I'm like, he come Big Daddy. We be in the back seat. Girls looking at us. We try to lean all the way back.
Right.
But my grandmother was driving that Park Avenue. She always had a new car. So that he was the one. He had 3 daughters. He was the one that all of them called on, no matter what. You got a plumbing problem, Big Daddy. You got an electrical problem, Big Daddy. Some need to, whatever it is. He was always there. He was there. He never complained about none of that. Even to the point where he was older. I mean, it was an 80, still trying to do that kind of thing, So that was something that those men taught me. My uncle, he just taught me, man, he had a great capacity to love. He really loved people, loved life, had a lot of style, had best dressed. He was gonna be, man, he's gonna be clean. But it was just, but he had so much capacity to love. Like he loved me like I was his son. He raised other children that wasn't his, and it's funny because one of the tightest, seemed like the tightest relationship he had with all those children was with a daughter that wasn't his. But if you see them together, he passed on some time ago, but if you seen them together or seen them interact, it wasn't like that was his daughter. You couldn't tell him that wasn't his daughter. You couldn't tell her that wasn't her daddy. I remember one time he came home, he was hot. It was all boys and her. He was hot. I guess somebody had ate. He had maybe had some cheesecake in the refrigerator. He look at all. He done came out that oil refinery. He waiting for that cheesecake. He come home. Somebody done ate that cheesecake. He said, "Oh hell no! Who ate this cheesecake?" Everybody called to the carpet. All the boys called. Who ate the cheesecake? Now they each saying, "I ain't eat it. I ain't eat it." They say, "No, who?" They saying, "You lying? You know you ate it. You know you ate it." Man, everybody got, he going off about this cheesecake. I don't know what kind of day he had. This wasn't normal. He had a bad day. He said, "Man, I want this cheesecake." He was irate. She came to him a little bit later, said, "Daddy, I ate that cheesecake." He said, "You ate the cheesecake." "Oh, don't worry about it."
I knew that was coming.
Oh man, but that's his baby girl. But that wasn't his baby girl.
Mm-hmm.
Biologically, but that was his baby girl.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And so, he had that great capacity to raise her, that was, his wife's daughter, to raise his wife's sister's kids, and to raise his own 2 sons that he had biologically. He raised all of them. So it's just that capacity to love that could be had. Any closing thoughts on maybe how to produce and what we know in the word, like how we produce better sons?
I think at this point, since the lack of leaders that are in the positions that could be most influential, men like us, we're going to have to pick up kids as we go along. And I think that, that's going to be the best thing for us as a people. And, it's the most honorable thing to do. If you see a kid struggling and hey, this kid is not going to end up well if I just stand idly by. Grab him by the hand, not physically, but, grab him by the hand metaphorically, take him up with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, we need that, brother. Absolutely. It's a huge deficit, and we see it every day. I mentioned this not today, but I forgot we was maybe in a meeting. So it was 15 people got shot at a party in Chicago.
Yeah, like 3 days ago.
It's just like that's every weekend. I mean, that deficit. It to me, that's a lack of men being instrumental in young people's lives. Instilling certain things, certain values, and because that's what we're supposed to do. And you can't really instill values in people, number one, if you're worried about what the world thinks, if you're going to capitulate, if you're going to bend because they don't want to hear it. Like my brother Elba was saying, he was stern, he was strict, unmovable. That's how you got to be if you want them to live up to those, as he said, standards. But when you ain't there, anything goes. You know how many, again, professionally, how many, the main problem that I see with kids, young people, they don't have somebody filling in that gap. They don't have a father. And the mama, oftentimes, not always, but a lot of times will go to bat no matter what and be, when I say dead wrong, dead wrong.
On the kid side, you talking about the
absolutely
actor? Yeah.
Absolutely. So
I've seen that close to me. And the boy, I've seen that happen in some family members.
Okay.
The boy is rotten.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody could discipline him.
Right.
His father couldn't discipline him. His mother wouldn't. Quick story. He's at my house. He's throwing rocks. I said, "Hey man, quit throwing them rocks before you break a window."
Right.
Pop, pop, pow, broke a window. His father went to talk to him. My sister saw him in the doorway after he broke the window. She backed away. She didn't want to have to discipline him. So after I said something to him and his dad did, she picked this boy up. He about 5, put him on her hip and said, "I'm not going to let this ruin your day."
Wait, time out. Hold on.
Oh yeah, I'll say it again. Wait.
Are you talking who's they?
She told the boy, my nephew that broke the window, she put him on her hip and said, because he got a little lecture from me,
Right.
I'm not gonna let this ruin your day. And I looked at her and said, what about my day? My window
Right.
broke. I
Right.
told him to start throwing the rocks. But that right there, that's destroying some mess. But on a happier note, I was telling you about them 2 young men that I was working with.
Yes.
Man, I'm trying. They every time they come over now, they trying to show me how many push-ups and everything they can do. I didn't, I got them geeked on something else. And
Yeah.
and just like you said, the power, the impression that you young men have on, well, he ain't around a lot of guys. But when y'all show them something, man, they'll gravitate to it as long, and they know how I am. They know about my boys. And they're looking for it, because I said, man, I'm getting old. I can't work out with y'all like I did with my sons. And the 13-year-old said, but you can still teach us though.
Yes.
And I said, I can do that, brother. I can do that.
Yeah.
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 Brother Khalil, I just wanted to add on to what you said, my brother, because you said it's crucial, and it is. It is.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that, brother. I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to cut you off. I was just trying to, because I'm thinking about, I said, I know he didn't just say what I thought he said.
No, that's what I said.
He wanted to ruin the little boy's day.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Oh man.
But,
yeah, that's
yeah.
yeah.
And he's jacked up to this day. A
And
lot of times
and no disrespect, but when you do that, you create monsters.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, a little Kirk Franklin Jr. The only reason why I bring that up is because kids know how to manipulate adults. If the parents aren't united, they will play against each other. And this Kirk Franklin kid seemed like he was trying to manipulate his father, pushing his buttons.
He definitely
just hung up as soon as he called. As soon as he called, you hang up.
Yeah.
If he gets loud, kid get loud, you hang up. At least that's how that's how it rolled around here.
I can't imagine it. I can't imagine it, man. But yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. Did anybody else have anything on that? How to produce better sons? Because it's a question in YouTube, good brother Nicodemus. He had a question, and I was going to address it. Did anybody else have anything?
Just real quick, just to be the example. Teach, stand your ground, continue to talk to them, show them that you care. I think a lot of kids just think that, especially men, they just want to come, go, do their own thing. Like you said, a lot of men or boys, these men playing games and just trying to get away from their families. A lot of people even some who go to work, they come home, they just want to be by themselves and they isolate themselves. Spend some time, especially with this word, teach them. I'm a stepfather as well, and I'm starting to see some of the effects of what I'm doing in my relationship with my stepsons growing, and the way we could sit down and have family meetings, that things we couldn't do before, where we could actually sit down and talk and say, you know what, this is how we're going to move forward. Y'all agree with that, right? And they say, yeah, I ain't got no problem. No, because that's how I have to say. Y'all agree with that, right? If you,
like you got an option.
Hey, you ain't got no options. Right. But if you got
you agree
with
that, right? Don't you, boy?
No, there's no options here. So we're all in agreement, and if I'm supposed, and I had to mention this today. I said, look, if I'm supposed to be the head here, and y'all know who I follow. I know we're not all there in understanding, but y'all see where I'm at every day. Y'all know how I treat you guys. You know how much I love you guys. And if y'all willing to trust me with your life and putting a roof over your head, follow me with this word. We're going to be able to live peacefully, because that's the main thing. We need peace. We need peace. So that's what I'm trying to get to. And I know it's not overnight thing.
Yes, sir. Right.
And I've saw some changes, so I'm optimistic, and I trust in my God. I'm staying the course and just let him do what he got to do. So that's going to be my And then statement is, you stay the course, you keep following what the Most High got planned for you as a man, and everything, hopefully, and the Most High would fall into place.
All praises to the Most High.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else before I going once, going twice? All right, real quick, let me say this. I was gonna say, I'm looking at the chat on YouTube. I want to say peace to brother Michael and good brother Tony. It's good to see you there, brother. And to the brothers and sisters that's listening as well, just in general, it's good to see y'all. And brother Nicodemus had a question. He said, Brother Elisha, what if you ain't got no father who don't care about you, and you grow up without him? That situation instills a level of hate in you. Okay, now, you know what? I tell this story, y'all probably heard it before. I remember sitting in a frat house with some brothers. I don't know how we got in it. You know, we used to spend our time drinking and doing other things. But one time we was having this conversation. It sticks out. And we ended up talking about fathers. And I was one of the few in that room that actually their father raised them. And they had made it to college. You know, they were, you know, as crazy as we were, they were on their way to eventually graduate. But when they talked about their father, brothers, it was such a level of, it was straight up disdain and hatred for him not being there. And it was the anger that had built up. And it was like, it was seen, because I had never noticed it before. Maybe it didn't manifest itself, but that night, man, they talked with such pain about what their fathers had not done and how they were not there. And that was the first, because I had never been in a situation my father wasn't there. You know, and then it was like maybe 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. And I got home, I called him just to tell him thank you. You know, probably, why are you waking me up? But I called him. I know he keep late nights, you know, he be up. But I called him just to thank him for being there. And that's how much I was impacted by that conversation that we had. And I see it, again, professionally, a lot of times. You know, when a certain young man is acting out, even young females acting out, I'll just ask the question, how's the relationship with your father? Who?
Mm-hmm.
Not there. And you can see the anger, and it's something that in your life that you need to act right that is not there. It's something that, quite frankly, your woman need.
Mm-hmm.
They need you to set it straight. For all that rebellion, all that acting up, you said something, brother. When you say, hey, trust me with keeping a roof over your head, trust me with this word, this is the way we going. Now they can sit back and act like they got some sense. Because they got some stability. The stability is you.
Right.
So now, yeah, it does instill with you anger. And the one thing I will say, and then if any other brothers want to chime in, as far as if you hadn't, I always say, if you've never seen a man in person, open that book up and you'll see what manhood is. Look at King David and you see what a man is. Look at what David wasn't just king. David went up against all odds. Who is this to defy the armies of the living God? Who is this uncircumcised Philistine? Man, you know who the Lord is? And so went up against this one, because he knew it was somebody bigger than Goliath.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he said, hey man, the Lord taught my hands to war. He was a man in that regard. He loved his nation. He was a man in the sense of seeking God. That was his meditation, was the word. All the days. So he was a man, and he was not perfect, but he was a man that you know, and the Lord looked up on him as a righteous man. You know, he was one that walked with God, and one was trying to please God. You know, he was the one, he was on the run from Saul. See, it wasn't just like it was all good for David. We think a lot of times people talk about David, you think, no, it was a lot of bad times. It was up against it. And even certain times, you look at certain things he did, we're talking about having honor and understanding. He said, who are you to touch the Lord's anointed? He could have killed Saul. It would not touch him because it was the Lord's anointed. He had honor. He believed God. See, a man like that, you can't even truly defeat. He could be down, but you can't truly defeat him. You can't truly defeat him. And on his deathbed, told his son, gird yourself up like a man. You about to die, and that's what you say? You feel me? So you look at Job, who made a sacrifice for his children in case they curse God in their mind. He did that perpetually. That's a man. You look at Abraham, walking on faith. That's a man. You look at Jacob and what he did, building a tribe. That's a man. That's responsibility. That's a man. And when you see Christ, you see the greatest man, who showed the greatest love, who walked uprightly in all things. So if you never seen a man, you see all kinds of examples of men in the Bible, and then the Bible tells you as a man how to operate. If you never seen a man, you know what you're supposed to do as a husband. You want to know what you're supposed to do as a husband? Look at Christ and what he did for his church, for his wife, his bride. You want to know what you're supposed to do as a father? Read the writings of Moses, when he said you should instruct your children in the laws, the commandments, the statutes of God.
Deuteronomy chapter 4.
Yes, sir. So they'll teach their children. Train them up in the way in which they should go. When they're old, they won't depart from it. So if you've never seen a man, that's a beautiful thing about because you talk about what you do with a father. It's a lot of us, we don't know how to be men. We don't know how to be women. We don't know what we're supposed to do. We out here lost in the dark. The Bible shows us what we should do. It's showing you how to be a wife. It tell you, hey, be obedient unto your husband. Love your children. Help build your household. Don't tear it down. Walk uprightly. Have some discretion. Have some respect for yourself. Don't be shameful. Don't bring shame upon your household. Understand what your purpose is. As a man, provide, protect, teach. You the first priest in your home, so to speak. Like the brother was talking about, trying to lead his household in the way in which they should go. As far as spiritually, that's before you get to the synagogue. That's before you turn on YouTube and listen to a lesson, to come sit down somewhere and listen to a lesson. This is what we're doing in this house. We going this way, and that's just gonna support that. So if you've never seen a man, open that book up. And to the sisters that's listening, you never seen a woman, you don't know what you're supposed to be doing. You know, you done been out in the streets, or you didn't live a certain life. You done had a shameful life. Men have done it too. You know, all kind of things, but it'll show you how to be not just a man, but a righteous man, a righteous woman, and some righteous children. And you have that, you have a righteous nation. Everybody got to play their position. Don't nobody want to play their position. Everybody want to be quarterback. Oh, somebody gonna have to play this line. Somebody gonna have to play receiver. We need a fullback. Play your position, and you'll have peace. And our position is the head of our homes. That's our position. I don't know if anybody else had anything on that.
I did.
Go ahead, bro.
I think there's something I personally noticed, like with the church and with like people in general that haven't come to the truth yet. You know, they read about Moses, Abraham, Isaac, Noah. They read about all these men, and they just equate them to some mythical, magical people in a book. They don't really realize that these are real men with real feelings. Right. Like listening to the stories of Moses, I'm like, I don't know how he dealt with it.
He even said, "Look,
no clue." Yeah, just kill me and do away with it. And then I thought about the story with Noah. Like everybody knows the story of Noah, right? But if you really think about it, this man was preaching, trying to get everybody to follow the word. Nobody will listen to him. God comes to him one day. It's like, look, I'm gonna kill everybody. You got to build this boat. You're going to get on this boat, and you're going to take these animals on this boat, and you and your family are going to stay on this boat while I destroy the world. And you're going to hear it. You're going to hear, everybody in the world being, taken away, all the wickedness being taken away. And Noah knows these people. I'm sure he was like okay with some of the people, even though they were wicked. And he knows what's about to happen to him. Yet and still, he builds this boat, he gets on this boat, and he takes those animals with him. And he gets off that boat and picks up right where he left off. And the strength that I can't imagine the strength just to hold it together, to know like everybody that you knew in this world, aside from your immediate family, is about to die. And just an instance of that, there's very few men that wouldn't have broken. And that's one of our prime examples in the world. And everybody just sees it as like fun, ha story, but it's a good example of how to have strength, even when you think you can't, but through God you can. Because without God, I can't imagine that being possible. To mentally and physically bear for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Hey, I would tell Brother Nicodemus, because I've seen him online a few times.
Mm-hmm.
When you asked about your pops, I would say that don't let it consume you, but more likely you know what type of man you want to be, and like he mentioned to you out of the Bible, and the type of man you want to be. Listen to other brothers who are the example of the type of man you want to be, and keep in good company, because we can't make up for the past, but you can definitely control, God willing, where you're going in the future. So you can repair the wrongs, hopefully, that your father made, and improve on it. Because I used to tell my son, if you did just like me, all you did was follow the leader. You're supposed to improve on what I did and don't make the same mistakes that I made.
Yeah. Excellent. Both of y'all, brother. That was excellent. Both of y'all, Brother Khalil and Brother Elbert. I appreciate that. That's definitely excellent points that was made. If there's nothing else, brothers, I think we about done.
All right.
I appreciate y'all. Hopefully somebody this will help somebody's mind. So nothing else, brothers. I see we have a Bible study tomorrow evening on Zoom, and I hope, Lord willing, I see each and every one of you there, like usual, and we'll get into this word some more.
Oh, praise, man.
All
right, brothers. Peace.
Thank you. Peace, everybody.
Appreciate you.
Peace, everybody. Y'all be safe.
Peace out, man.
All right.
You too.
See y'all soon.
All right.
All right, bro.
All right, brother.